It's kind of wild that we're already here in June. This year has felt simultaneously like it's moved so fast and so slow at the same time. And I literally looked down and I was like, oh my gosh, it's time for June's astrology and human design transit episode. So here we are. I feel like last month, May, as this comes out, it is still May, but last month was, I'm not sure what the word is. It was not enlightening, grounding, anchoring, eye opening. I feel like I gained a lot of insight. If you're on YouTube, you can see I have this rash around parts of my face. And the last time I went to the doctor, they said it was contact dermatitis from likely something I'm using, some skincare, some food I'm ingesting, something. And so I'm really trying to figure out what it is. And of course, me with all my holistic trying to figure it out, because I'm always like, it's never just the thing. There's always something more to it. So being a little bit stubborn, that Taurus stubborn energy where I'm like, I don't want to go to the doctor. I want to figure this out myself. I want to treat it holistically. I don't want to take antibiotics. And also realizing that sometimes, I mean, antibiotics works overnight. The last time I did it, I think I took the first pill and it was all gone. So, but I do truly believe that what manifests on the outside of the body is a reflection of something on the inside of the body, whether it's energetic, emotional, something. And so it was around this time last year too. My back started hurting, which I don't really feel that much anymore, which luckily that has healed itself. But this is happening. And so I'm kind of like, what is going on? Um, and I've, looked into my chart and stuff like that. But side note. So a lot of that has been coming up. I've also really had a lot of conversations with other healers that are dealing with, is that the right word? That are experiencing some manifestations, physical manifestations as well, whether it's flu like symptoms, whether it's just things of that nature. And so it really does feel like it's some sort of energetic purging, whether it's an upgrade, whether it's subconscious beliefs or just something is happening energetically to a lot of people right now. And it's manifesting differently, but it's really potent and powerful. And so as we navigate June, we do have some really intense, I wouldn't say really intense, but we do have some intense transits. And also, I feel like June is really marked by Venus and Jupiter, but specifically Venus. Venus is activating a lot during this month. There's a lot of Venus activations. It feels like that through line. Venus is in Cancer and she moves into Leo on the 13th of June, but the first half of June, she's in Cancer, and Cancer is, emotional. It's nurturing ourselves and others. It is like our own experiences, our home, our ancestors. So it is a lot of deep work. When you look at the astrology chart, right? The fourth house, which is ruled by Cancer and the moon, is the bottommost part of the chart. This is our structure, our root structures, right? The things that hold us and anchor us in. And so it's just very, it feels like the pulse of June is that of Venus. And Mercury moves also from Gemini, where he rules, into Cancer, which is a little bit, again, softer, more nurturing, emotional. And then at the end of the month, or no, I think it's mid-month, where, June 17th, Venus is going to be opposite Pluto in Aquarius once she moves into Leo. And then we do see a Mercury retrograde in Cancer. So just being aware of that. And we have this Jupiter Venus conjunction that we're going to see, which is happening in June 9th in gate 62. We have 3 days, the 15th, 16th, and 17th, where Venus is activating the outer planets in this kind of like little mini triangle. She's gonna be sextile Uranus, then she's gonna be trine Neptune, and then she's gonna be opposite to Pluto. So that's all in 3 days happening. And then again, we have Mercury starting its retro shade cycle on June 12th, and then Mercury is going to station retrograde on June 29th. And we're going to get into what that looks like, what that means. Again, remember, Mercury retrograding in water signs is more about creating awareness around our emotional patterns and habits. And so it tends to be, of course, depending on where you have water signs in your chart. I have water signs in water houses because I'm a Leo rising, which the first house is naturally a fire house because it's naturally ruled by Aries. So I have water signs in water houses, which tends to intensify or maybe just keep the themes of that water. So it can be really intense. But yeah, we'll dive into it. So early June, let's say June 1st to the 12th, June 1st, Mercury moves into Cancer. So Mercury leaves his home of Gemini, which is really quick, analytical, fact finding, rather, curious, trickster, playful, social Gemini, and then moves into the more emotional world of Cancer, right? So this is moving from information to then intuition, right? This is from the mind, from wit, from curiosity, from all those things into this more body emotional knowing coming into that. Mercury in Cancer communicates through the body, right? This is what it is, through memory, emotional resonance, through intuition, through that sort of unspoken yet known fact, right? Conversations might be a little bit more deeper because water always holds depth. And something that Jesse Eccles and I were talking about recently, specifically around the spiritual community and healers and spiritual entrepreneurs, is that, you know, if you have a cup of water and you pour it, water will just go everywhere, right? It's just going to flood everywhere. It's going to go everywhere. We need a container for the water. And this is something that we've been in conversation with a lot of people around. And it feels like obviously it all started, you know, in 2020. Things have really been shifting since then. And then we had Saturn move through Pisces, which really felt like it was highlighting this need for structure because, and I am guilty of this 100%. Like I am definitely more of the flow and, you know, I believe in manifestation and words of affirmation. And yet we can do all those things. But if we don't have a container to hold what's given to us, so if I'm sitting here manifesting, I want a thriving business, I want abundance, I want a 6-figure month or whatever it is. If I don't actually have the container to hold any of that, it's just going to literally go through my fingers, right? It's going to just flood over my fingers and it's going to pour through and it's just going to go everywhere. And there's no structure and there's no way to hold it. And so what tends to happen, especially with spiritual entrepreneurs and healers, is that we really tend to struggle with the actual container piece, the structure piece. And so Saturn moving through Pisces really felt like it was teaching us, like, how can we create the structures? How can we create the systems? And I feel like, you know, kind of the landscape of entrepreneur or business has shifted a little bit, especially with the age of Aquarius. And so it's like we're trying to figure out how to merge these two worlds. And, you know, the past year has been really different than it has been. And so it's felt like a time to kind of step back, maybe maybe being forced to step back a little bit and kind of figure that out and figure out what works and figure out how we lead in this kind of new era, this new age, this new energy that we're stepping into. And it feels like what's been reflected a lot is the energetics is key. Like we need to get our energetics. We need to be aligned because people are feeling that. It's not just pretty words or pretty pictures anymore. We're feeling the frequency behind the words, right? And that's kind of Mercury in Cancer. We're feeling the body knows, the body is communicating. We are communicating through the body, through our intuition, through our psychic skills, through our knowing. And we can't really avoid that. And especially with Mercury, then at the end of the month, it's going to be stationing retrograde, right? This is internalizing all of that energy. So we're really coming inside and it's like, okay, what are my emotional patterns? What habits am I having that are not supporting? Or where are my reactions? How am I reacting in the face of all these things that are coming through? So that's what's going to happen. And that was June 1st, right, where Mercury moves into Cancer. Again, on the 12th, we're going to start to see that retro shade cycle. So Mercury starts its retro shade. And what this means is that is the point that it's going to retrograde back to, and then it's going to go forward again. And so whatever happens, you know, June 12th, just start noticing the stories, start noticing the emotions, start noticing the emotional responses and patterns that we've built. And so when it goes retrograde, we can really like dive into that and start working with it. So on June 2nd, we have the sun. It's going to sextile Saturn. Saturn is, again, structure, restriction, boundaries. Saturn in Aries, the sun is shining a light on. This is really stabilizing, right? Because sextiles are supportive. And so this could offer us structure and clarity. This is really a good time to organize our ideas, right? Sort of like we had Mercury sextile Saturn. This was really great time to, again, structure our ideas, make sense of them, organize them. And the sun is similar because it is in Gemini, and Gemini is the mind. Gemini is communication. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So this is a really great time to ground in your ideas, to anchor them in, to organize them, to clarify them, to see like what you really want to move forward with and what you don't, really kind of like adding in that disciplinary piece to it, because we can have ideas all day, right? I was literally laying in bed last night. I woke up, there's a thunderstorm, and I woke up at like, I don't know, I think it was 12, 1 o'clock. And I was sitting there and I was like, it's wild to me how, human design speaks to the passenger and the vehicle, sorry. The vehicle is your body. This is your unconscious side of your chart. This is everything that we cannot control because it simply is. And then we have the passenger, the personality, passenger consciousness. And this is the mind, right? The passenger is designed to be the passenger. It's not supposed to rule. It's not supposed to drive the car. It's supposed to sit there and watch and observe. And yet in our head, like we have this constant narrative going in our mind constantly. Like it narrates every moment of our day. And yet this is this thing I've been thinking about so much, where it's like, that's not supposed to make decisions, right? We need to come into the vehicle. Our body is what makes decisions. We have the magnetic monopole, which is in the G center, which pulls these two together, which is what creates what we see as our body graph. That's the driver, right? And so that is where we make decisions from some place in our body. That is the whole purpose of authority, whatever your authority is, whether it's emotional, sacral, splenic, ego, whatever it is, that is where we are designed to make decisions from, essentially getting us out of mind into the body. And yet, the Kabbalion says the mind is all, the universe is mental. And so it's this duality, which is, I'm more and more just like, it's all true at the same time, right? All truths are but half truths. So it's this duality where we are designed to come into the body to make decisions. We're not supposed to listen to our mind. And yet our mind is so loud. It narrates our entire day. It never shuts up. The mind constantly goes. So again, the all is mind, the universe is mental. Our mind is creating the reality that we experience around us. So how can we hone our mind? That is a very select few amount of people in the world that truly can control and hone the mind to work for them. I was journaling this morning and I was like, the first phrase that I wanted to come to me, I was talking about being more optimistic, but I wanted to write less negative. And I was like, just that in itself is negative, right? Less negative, just be more optimistic. And so, but it is this constant like retraining of the mind. And it can be really frustrating, right? We know like the law of attraction, Abraham Hicks, people like, you can't affirm yourself, whatever. And yet we have to practice over time to hone our mind, to train our mind to work for us. It's like a game, right? This whole simulation theory, but it's like a game where we have to play the game a little bit. We're in the Maya, right? This is what it is. And so how can we, again, with the sun sextile Saturn, the reason I got into this is because we're in Gemini season. Uranus is in Gemini. Uranus is going to be in Gemini. This is the time to train your mind, to reprogram your mind, to work with those narratives and stories that you're telling yourself in order to create a new reality, right? Dolores Cannon was saying, like, the new earth is here. It's not something outside of you. The new earth is inside of you. How is your perspective going to shift? How are you going to see and create a reality, that new earth that you will, the path that you will be on? Because we get to choose, right? And our mindset is so powerful. So, okay, that's happening June 2nd. This is offering us an opportunity where we can feel more supported by the mind, where we can feel more structure in the mind. And of course, Aries is the I am. Saturn, however, is not very strong in Aries. Saturn is at its weakest in Aries. So it might not be a big, loud, powerful boom, right? Because that's just the way it is. But the sun is shining a light on it and supporting Saturn in being more Saturnian in Aries, right? So June 3rd, we have Mercury trine the North Node and square Neptune. This is a day of duality, of course, right? Everything is duality. So Mercury trine to the North Node um, is supporting us in moving towards our evolutionary direction in our mind, what we think, what we say, really paying attention to our words, the frequency of our words, pay attention to what you're downloading, what's coming through. But it also squares Neptune. This creates confusion. This creates delusion, it softens boundaries. It makes us a little bit confused. Like, what are we fighting for? Who am I? What is my purpose? Right. So we have this dual energy day where, on the one hand, we might be getting more clarity. We might be feeling more downloads or insight into the collective direction and purpose. And then we have Neptune that's like, oh, but I'm going to confuse you a little bit. Like, is that actually what's coming through? Like, are you sure? What are you actually fighting for? What is it for? What purpose are you really going towards? So it makes it a little bit more soft, a little bit more confusion. This is a great time to journal, to lean in, to get more clarity. Again, this is, kind of a dual day there. And then on June 9th, this is a really optimistic, beneficial day. June 9th is Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. This is happening at, let me get the degree, I had written it down, 25 degrees and 46 minutes of Cancer. This is in gate 62 in human design. Now, Jupiter and Venus are considered benefic planets. Jupiter is the higher expression, higher octave of Venus. They both have to do, well, Jupiter is expansion. They both have to do with money a little bit, health, money. Venus is self-worth. Venus is, again, the material. It's our values. It's love. It's relationship. It's beauty. It's aesthetics. Jupiter, again, Jupiter is health. Jupiter is money in that sense where it's, because it's touching Venus, it's expanding on it. It's expansion. It's luck. It's the guru planet. It's optimism. This is happening in gate 62, which is preponderance of the small. This is in the throat center. And gate 62 carries the understanding that mastery lives in what others overlook. It's not about dramatic revelation, but about a willingness to be precise, patient, and honest in the small moments. So gate 62 in the throat, everything in the throat really carries the energy of the importance and frequency of the words that we're saying, because the throat is a communication, it's manifestation center. So we really want to make sure that what we're saying, what we're putting out, what we're manifesting into the world is powerful, is beneficial, is going to bring us and craft our reality, right? And so this is really this conjunction happening in the throat center is really powerful. And so if you're working with this energy, if you're working with the transits, whether you're maybe launching something or just like doing the work, this is a really great day to do that work, right? Because we're expanding on it. We're bringing in abundance. We're bringing in monetary material, rather. We're bringing in relationships, love, all of those things. So this is a really great time to do that work. June 10th, then we have Mercury square Saturn. So squares are challenges. Squares are challenging us to take action, to do something. Saturn can feel like it's stopping Mercury because this is a square. We saw the sun sextile Saturn, and then before that, we did see Mercury sextile Saturn, and sextiles are supportive. So this was bringing some structure into our mind. This could be blocking it, maybe like building a wall where we can't quite get past it, because Mercury in Cancer is our emotional world, right? We're communicating our emotions. We're communicating through knowing. We're communicating through intuition. And so Saturn could be making that a little bit harder to communicate. It could be making us a little more maybe passive aggressive, or Mars in Cancer is very passive aggressive, but Saturn is in Aries, right? So we're bringing in a little bit of that energy. I don't believe that there's a bad or good when it comes to astrology. There simply is what is, and we're creating our reality. And your chart truly is what brings it to life. Your chart is what brings it to life. And so it is what you do with it. And of course, like, where's Cancer in your chart? What's going on in Cancer? What do you have in Cancer? Do you, like, what's it touching for you in your personal chart? And that's really how we can work with this. June 12th, the North Node is square Uranus. I was at the nail salon yesterday, and this woman came in. She's like, my son's getting married June 12th. And that's all I thought was like, Uranus square the nodes. And again, there's no good or bad. It's just interesting, right? To see what is happening. And your Mercury also enters its retrograde period on June 12th as well. This is definitely one of the more significant days of the month astrologically. So the North Node is in gate 55 and Uranus is in gate 20. The North Node in gate 55, this is the gate of the spirit. This is the gate of the spirit where it tends. So the opposite gate is gate 39. This is the gate of provocation. The whole intention is that gate 39 provokes the emotional experience. And we're learning something about ourselves through that provocation. Now, gate 20 is the gate of the now. It's in the throat center. Gate 55 is in the solar plexus. It's also known as the gate of abundance. And so, gate 55 carries the frequency of our emotional experiences, a richness of emotional experiences, if we allow it to be that, right? It's the North Node in this gate is moving us towards this emotional evolution, which 2027 human design prophecy has a lot to do with gate 55. The way we experience our emotions are changing. And so the North Node here feels really significant, and especially that it's square Uranus, right? Uranus is shock, truth. It's awakening. We're awakening to something. And this gate 20, Uranus in gate 20, the gate of the now, right? So Uranus is disrupting this experience, and it's disrupting our emotional world when we have this square. This is the gate where we are awakening to our truth in the now, right? Uranus is the great awakener. So it might do it in shocking, unpredictable, disruptive ways, but it's awakening us nonetheless, right? And so that's kind of the energy of this. This square can create friction. Remember, squares are challenging aspects that are asking us to take action. This is internal. So oppositions tend to come to us from outside of us. Squares happen from inside of us. So this is emotional depth and presence. This is like the biggest struggle for me in my life, right? I'm so emotional. And when you're in an emotional experience, when you're feeling dysregulated and your entire body is reacting, whatever it is, your mind gets in there, your emotions get in there, emotions are the physical sensations in the body, feelings are the mental narratives that we attach to the physical sensations in the body. And we tend to then create or hook onto narratives and stories from the past that paint what we're experiencing now. So again, how can we have such emotional depth where our feelings, our mind is latching onto the past, but really being asked to be present, right? Like that is the kind of struggle here. How can we be in our emotional experience, but be here now, not with what happened 10 years ago, not with might happen 10 years from now. How can we actually be now and just be with the emotional experience? That's really, and this is the North Node, right? So our emotional experiences, our emotional capacity, our emotional intelligence is evolving and changing, right? That's really what this is really asking us to. So then June 13th, Venus moves into Leo. I love Venus and Leo. As a Leo rising, I always love when Venus moves through my first house because I am, as a Leo rising, my sun rules my chart. My sun is in Taurus. So I'm in essence, Venus ruled. I have a lot of Venus energy. I love it. It's such a potent part of my chart. But Venus, again, moves out of this emotional, watery, sensitive Cancer and is like, look at me. I don't know why. I think it's because I have a Leo moon and rising where I'm like, I love Venus center stage. So that's kind of like what this is visibility. This is really great for, again, check where Leo is in your chart, but this is really great for, again, financial, material, relationship visibility. This is, of course, Leo can be dramatic. So we need to be a little bit mindful about the dramatics of Venus and Leo. But, really stepping into this kind of like highlighted sun Venusian energy, right? This is coming from the heart. So Leo rules the heart and Venus is love, right? So how can we be so heart led in our relationships, in the way we're moving towards things? I'm reading the book, The Soul of Money, which like I am, I don't know, about halfway through. No, less than halfway through. I'm like a quarter through. I literally already want to create a book club around this book. It is so powerful. And, she talks about in the book how greed and scarcity are conditioned into us. It's not something we're born with. Even you think about like a baby. I mean, they have all their needs met. They're just like, they cry, they get what they want. There's no like the greed and scarcity are learned. And I, it's just such a beautiful book where, she talks about this example of she met Mother Teresa, the author met Mother Teresa. And she was having this really in-depth conversation with her. She was crying. They were praying. The author Lynn Twist was part of this, I think is called the Hunger Project. So her whole mission in life was to end world hunger. And so she went to India, some of the poorest countries, and just saw hunger at its worst, and people in this place of complete like they just didn't have enough. And anyway, so she's sitting with Mother Teresa in this orphanage, and she's just like appalled by, people mutilate their children to beg to get money. And so she's sitting with Mother Teresa, and she's like really, she's just so moved emotionally. And this rich couple, like blow in, and they hand her a camera. They're like, take a picture. We didn't get a picture. And she goes through this whole thing, and Mother Teresa's like leaned over, and the woman like lifts her chin up, and she forces her to look at her and at the camera, and she takes a picture. And this author is just like appalled, like, how can people treat Mother Teresa like this? Like, she was so angry, and she's like, but also like, how am I in this emotional experience? Like, how am I feeling so much anger when I'm sitting here with Mother Teresa? And she went home and wrote her a letter expressing everything that she felt, while she was there. And Mother Teresa wrote her back, and she's like, we think that only those who lack their base needs need compassion, need love, need guidance, and that only they are lacking. She's like, but the rich are also lacking. They're lacking in the same, maybe not their core needs. Maybe they're not hungry. Maybe, they have an abundance of material things, but they're lacking in love. They're lacking in compassion. Not all, right? But that happens. They're lacking in understanding, and they're lacking something. And so the whole point is like, we've always exchanged services. We've always exchanged energy for service, whether it's financially with actual money, whether it's been like rocks and stones or metals. Like, we've always had this exchange of services. And yet when money came around, it was like, all of a sudden we didn't, it like ruled everything. We didn't have enough. We were in lack. There was too much. There wasn't enough for everyone. There are all these like different narratives and stories that we attached to it. It became this thing that was bigger than us. And so it's like, how can we get back to what really matters, kind of? And I went on a complete tangent from Venus into Leo. But what I think I was really getting at was with this example of Mother Teresa, like being so heart led and so compassionate and so understanding. And I think a lot of people can read that and just be like, oh, well, they just let them walk all over her. But she had this deep understanding that just because you have an abundance of wealth does not mean you are abundant. That even though you might have more clothes, more cars, more real estate, more money than you could need, there is still lack in a lot of people. We're still chasing more money. We're still chasing more of this. We're still chasing. And the thing that we're always seeking, it's like, if you've been in like the personal development world for a while, that so often we're like, it's not the money you're chasing, it's the feeling. What is the money going to bring you that you don't already have? And how can you just bring that emotion first? And so that was a whole long-winded way of saying that I feel like Venus and Leo is really asking us to come from our heart, to be so heart-led, to be so in the heart. And how can we bring those feelings in? How can we pull in that energy of what we think the money or the success or the whatever it is will bring us? Because it's never about the material thing. It's about the emotional thing. that we're trying to call in. We want the feeling of abundance. We want the feeling of peace. We want the feeling of security. We want the feeling of joy. We want the feeling of connection over the actual material. And so, how can you call that in now? How can you be in your heart and call that in? So, June 14th, we have the new moon in Gemini. This is happening in gate 12. This is 24 degrees and 4 minutes. Yeah, 24 degrees and 3 minutes. 14th of June, 9:54 p.m. Gate 12 is the gate of caution. This is in the throat center. This is the gate of discernment, right? We are discerning through the emotional experience what we have the energy for or not, what we're going to communicate to or not. The opposite end of this is gate 22. This is the gate of listening, right? This is the only individual social channel. So what this means is that we have to be in the mood. I have this channel in my chart, and I've always seen this in my life. If I go out and I try and be social when I'm not in the mood, I literally all I hear is, what's wrong? How can we make it better? Like, why are you upset? Why are you not having fun? I'm like, I could be having a blast, but it's the constant. People will always say that to me. What's wrong? Are you not having fun? And I'm like, I'm literally fine. I just didn't want to be here. Right. Like, and so it's like, you can't hide that. So this is really discernment of where you're putting your energy. Like, you have to be in the mood with this channel, but this gate is really going to reflect that, right? We need to arrive within our authority. We need to really want to be doing something in order to step into that. This new moon is opposite. Let me see. Let me go back up to my notes here. So the new moon, okay, so it's really not doing a whole lot of anything as far as aspects. It is opposite Black Moon Lilith, and this is something I've kind of played with. I'm not like super versed in Black Moon Lilith. But I know that she's potent. She's kind of wild. She's potent. Lilith was Adam's first wife. And she was exiled. She was suppressed. I believe, I might get the story incorrect, but I believe that she said she was gonna, I don't know if it was kill every child that she bore that was Adam's, or if that was put upon her, that every child she had would not survive. Whatever it is, she was very suppressed. She was very stifled because she had this wildness to her that was not allowed to be expressed. People, they were afraid of it. And this is a new moon. New moons we're planting the seed, we're planting intentions. So where have you been suppressing that wildness, right? Where can you plant that seed and allow it to sprout and grow and be seen in it and be safe in it, right? We also have during this, let me see, Mercury is also sextile to Mars. So this brings in a piece of action, right? We want to express our thoughts. We want to express what is happening. Mercury is still in Cancer. Yes, Mercury is still in Cancer. And so how can we express our emotional world? Maybe, again, Mars in Cancer, which Mars is in Taurus still. Yeah, Mars is in Taurus still. But Mars in Cancer, which I'm only giving this example because Mercury is in Cancer, can be really passive aggressive. So maybe we want to express, maybe we want to have a knowing, and yet Mars is like stifling that a little bit, or making us a little passive aggressive because we're not communicating in the normal way that Mercury would communicate. So it feels like, because this is a new moon in Gemini is communication. We have Uranus here. It's not conjunct it, but we do have Uranus here. This new moon feels like a time to communicate what we have been silent about, communicate the thing that we haven't said for fear of rejection, for fear of severing connection, whatever it is. How can we own that? How can we step into that? Or how can we plant the seeds to open ourselves up to that? Then on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, we kind of talked about in the beginning, we have Venus activations. And okay, so the 15th, 16th, 17th, we have Venus activation. So June 15th, Venus in Leo is sextile Uranus in Gemini. This could be electrifying. Again, Uranus is shock, truth, the electrical impulses in the body, nervous system, right? And Venus and Leo, again, big, bold, heart leg. So this this aspect in general is just big on both ends. And again, gate 20, which is where Uranus is the gate of now. So how can we bring ourselves into now? This is could be because Venus is art, right? Like creative freedom. Um, there's always a piece of freedom when it comes to Uranus as well. Um, yeah, the little sentence that I have here is this is an aspect that rewards saying yes to what's unfamiliar, what's unknown. How can we step into the unknown? How can we do something different? Uranus rules the fool in the tarot. And so I always think about that. Like, how can we kind of like step off the cliff? And Venus and Leo, I mean, this is big, bold, shining out there. Like, if we're going to do something different, Venus and Leo is all for it. If we're center stage, Venus and Leo is about it. And then Venus and Leo is going to be trying Neptune and Aries. And so Venus and Neptune, I love Venus and Neptune, but it can make us a little bit delusional, can make us a little softer on our boundaries, where we need to have stronger boundaries. But this could have us feeling, it can soften the ego a little bit, right? Leo is the sun, Leo is the ego. Sorry, Leo is the heart and the ego. So Neptune might help soften that a little bit. We can definitely get very ego, especially when we're looking at love and relationships, which Venus is beyond love and relationships, right? It's not only love and relationships, but that's a big part of it. We tend to attract people who mirror ourselves, right? This is, Venus, we learn our self-worth and what we value through the relationships that we call in. And so when we choose partners that are activating parts of us that need to be healed, the ego gets really loud, right? We're triggered, we're responsive, we're moving from ego. And so this can really help maybe soften that, right? Maybe have us feel a little bit tender or softer within our relationships. Neptune, we always say, like, we're seeing through rose-tinted glasses, which is not good all the time, but it can be beneficial, right? If we understand and kind of put our mind aside sometimes and just like be in the experience, right? So that's the 16th. And then on the 17th, Venus is opposite Pluto. Jealousy, possession, like this is kind of the fingerprint, I guess, of what Venus and Pluto oppositions usually hold. Venus squares, oppositions, conjunctions can really bring in power dynamics. It is kind of a more intense activation, but Pluto in Aquarius is really restructuring how we collectively relate to each other, right? How it specifically when we're bringing Venus in here, which is love, which is the material, which is self-worth, right? This is about our systems, power dynamics in our partnerships, in our communities. Leo and Venus and Leo really wants to be loved and to love boldly. And again, really facing this Pluto where it's being like, do we need the power dynamics? Do we need to control the situation? How can we let go of that? How can we be more about each other? There's another part in this book, in The Soul of Money, where they talk about, oh my gosh, it literally just left my mind. No, okay, I got it. Where it's like, we feel like it's you or me, but really it's you and me. How can we support each other and know that there's enough for everyone, right? This isn't a you or I kind of thing, right? Like we can support each other, we can be with each other. Being in a community that understands that, like that supports that. Again, I'm obsessed with this book. Like I said, I'm like not even halfway through it. And I'm like, I literally want to do a book club on this book or a workshop or something because it is phenomenal. But she starts off the book with a tribe in the Amazon who never experienced money. They just help each other. They trade services. Like if someone gets married, everybody builds a house, or if somebody hunts a boar or something, everybody eats. Like it is truly community. And Pluto and Aquarius is wanting to bring us back to that sense of community. So how can we put that ego aside, right? The day before we had Venus trine Neptune, which might have softened our ego, right? So with that softened ego, now we're coming into this kind of energy. So how can we put aside the need to control and to have that power dynamics within our relationships and our community? How can we show up in a more heart-centered, loving, giving way? That's kind of the theme here. June 19th, Chiron moves into Taurus and it's in gate 3. Gate 3 is difficulty in the beginning, ordering. It's the energy of there's always chaos in the beginning, and then we create structure and then we get the ordering of it, right? This is in the sacral center. This is creative life force energy. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is the healer who could not heal himself. Chiron has been in Aries, and I have been saying Chiron in Aries is the energy of who I learned I am, who I think I am through what people have told me that I am, right? Now, moving into Taurus, this is the body. This is, again, Chiron and Aries worked around our identity. And Taurus, Chiron and Taurus is moving into the body, into self-worth, into finances, into sensory experiences, into safety, into security. So we're going to be activating our deepest wound in that area of life. So it could be challenging. But remember, especially in gate 3 is difficulty in the beginning. It's going to be chaos and challenging in the beginning, but slowly over time, we'll get order, we'll make sense of things, we'll put things in their place. Chiron later in the year is going to retrograde back into Aries, but this is the start. So just note what's coming up now. June 21st, the sun moves into Cancer. This is the summer solstice. We're moving into Cancer season. Again, Cancer is the home. Cancer is our emotional world. That's our ancestors. It's our family. It's all of those things. And so this is really a season where we're turning inward. For me, this is in the 12th house. So I have always had this really deep, like surrendering experience during this. I really am very introspective. I already spend a lot of time by myself, but this like kind of enhances that. And so again, Mercury is in its retrograde period, and it's going to retrograde in Cancer a little bit later in the month. And so this is really just like a potent time. And again, follow the Substack because I'm always going to have posts on the Substack. Follow me on social media, all the things where we're going to go more in depth with that. And then June 26th, Venus in Leo is trine Saturn in Aries. And then the sun in Cancer is square to Neptune in Aries. So again, Venus trine Saturn, this is again stabilizing, it's setting boundaries. Again, we just had that really intense, it could be intense Pluto opposite Venus, right? That was asking us about our power dynamics, about control, money, all the things, community, the collective, right? Now this trine is supporting us in like a little bit more structuring, a little bit more stability, a little bit more boundaries if we feel like we need them. This is Saturn. So when Venus is in Capricorn, because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, this is the long term. This is the long haul. We're not in it for the short term. We're not in it to play games. We're in it for grounded, mature, long-term relationships, loves, building, finances, all the things. And then the sun is square Neptune. So again, this is really, again, just going to make us feel a little bit more confused. Maybe this is shining a light on it, right? So maybe feel uncertain. Neptune is the dissolver, so it can dissolve whatever the sun is trying to show us, right? Trying to illuminate. And so we might feel a little bit confused during this time. We might feel unclear, right? Like stay in the body, stay like nervous system regulation. I have set up a beautiful practice for myself that I'm obsessed with, my morning routine right now, where I journal my dreams, I journal anything that I just like need to get out. I have my affirmations that I've been doing Wim Hof breathing 3 to 4 rounds of it. And I'm scripting my day. And I'm doing a little like journal prompt. And I just added in doing a little setting myself up in a little bubble to protect my own energy, because this is something that can definitely be a struggle when I'm like out and about. So that's like really like staying with the body, staying anchored in, knowing your truth can be really helpful when we have these kind of aspects. And then the 27th, Mars in Taurus is sextile to Jupiter in Cancer. This is supportive. It's a sextile. Jupiter expands anything it touches, right? Mars in Taurus doesn't move as quickly as it does in Aries, of course. This is more deliberate, more intentional, more certain, if that's the word I'm looking for. And Jupiter, again, expands on it, expands from a place of emotional clarity, emotional experiences. It is ruled, I guess, by our emotional experiences. So this could be supportive. So it can be really supportive. June 28th, Mars then moves into Gemini. This is a lot faster than Mars and Taurus, right? Again, Taurus is grounded, it's sensual, it's material, it's stable. And Gemini is not. Gemini is quick, it's curious, it's playful, it's tricky. It is all those things. And so again, this is making Mars move a little bit more faster, gathering more information, communicating, all those things, adapting, changing, dispersing, all those kinds of energies, right? So after, however long it's been that Mars has been in Taurus, now we kind of can get more of a momentum on the energy, but really just being aware of what we're communicating, if we're thinking things through, or if we're just like word vomiting or just being really reactionary. That can be another thing there too. So really like kind of taking that pause and taking the themes of Mars and Taurus, where we are moving a little bit slower, right? Like, can we just take a breath right before we say something? Just pause just for a second before we just like say it. And then June 29th, Mars in Gemini squares the North Node. So this is maybe creating some friction, maybe creating some anger, frustration around that evolutionary like direction and purpose that we're moving in. Maybe we don't want to sit with our emotions. Maybe we're speaking too fast and not really like sitting with what's coming through, right? Like there is, we're gathering information and we're just like putting it out before we have time to like really sit with it and settle with it and letting it come in. So just like, again, taking that pause, taking that breath before we like really get taken away with it. And then June 29th, we have the full moon in Capricorn. And the moon does not like to be in Capricorn because the moon loves to be in Saturn. So the moon isn't fully expressed in Capricorn. Capricorn doesn't, oh my gosh, Capricorn. I have had so much experience with Capricorn moons, and I love Capricorn moon, but I think there's, Capricorn, there's a time and a place to feel, and it's not now. So we're going to compartmentalize that. We're going to deal with that later, but are we actually dealing with it later, right? So it's also happening in gate 52. Gate 52 is in the root center. Gate 52 is the gate of stillness. It is opposite gate 9. So gate 9 is the gate of details. Gate 9 is, not looking at the whole big picture, but rather looking at our feet and putting one step in front of the other. And gate 52 is what anchors that in, right? This is the energy of the mountain, of stillness, of rootedness, of patience, being completely present, right? And so this is so powerful to have the moon in this gate. The gate 52 holds pressure in reserve rather than releasing it prematurely, which I'm just thinking Mars and Gemini is just like saying it all, right? But this is really about having that emotional intelligence. And I do think there is a beautiful ability with a Capricorn moon to be that mountain, right? Like Capricorn is represented by the mountain goat. So there is that theme there, right? It is steadfast. It is solid, but sometimes it's so, Capricorn is a cardinal sign. So it's not like fixed like Taurus is, but it is, I want to say immovable, but not in a fixed way, if that makes sense, right? It's just there, and it's able to hold the emotional experiences. I feel like because it doesn't get wrapped up in it, doesn't get absorbed in it, right? So this full moon is really helping us to come into that stillness, that patience, that wisdom that Saturn brings over time, right? Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And this full moon is square Saturn and Neptune. Let me double check. Hold on. I have up here in my notes. Yeah, it is square Saturn and Neptune. And then Saturn, which is the ruler of the moon, is trine to Venus. So let me get back to my notes. Okay, so it is square Saturn and Neptune, which is really bringing in that intensity. We're square the moon's ruler, and Saturn brings further structure, but then we have Neptune in there because Neptune is the dissolver, softens boundaries. What are we fighting for? Brings a little bit of confusion, but over time, it shows us the truth beneath it, right? It dissolves, it creates confusion, but then it dissolves so that we can see more clearly. And then it's also Saturn is trine to Venus during this time, which is, again, can be, trines are supportive. Venus and Saturn can create challenges in the sense that it is creating structure, but it is building something for the long term. It's not about flighty, you know, fast things. It is about long term. So it can be really, really beautiful and create emotional depth and support and all these kind of beautiful qualities that are happening with that. So make sure to check in again the Substack, where there will be a new and full moon post every month. And then June 29th, also, which is the full moon day, Mercury stations retrograde. So getting ready for this again. Mercury stations retrograde. Gate 62, this is where we had that Venus Jupiter conjunction, right? Wasn't directly at the same degree. The Venus Jupiter conjunction was at 25 degrees. This is happening at 26 degrees, but it's pretty close, right? And it's going to retrograde over that point. So that point is being activated multiple times this month. And so what happened during that Venus Jupiter retrograde or conjunction? What came up, right? So again, Mercury stations retrograde at this degree. And so this is really kind of completing, or it's working on this loop that happened, right? And so again, what are our emotional patterns? What are our emotional habits? What's coming up around our emotional world, our home life? And especially when you think about family, Mercury and family and our emotions, you know, Ram Dass says, if you think you're healed, spend a weekend with your family. And so what are those things that are coming up that maybe we have not yet healed? Where do we maybe need to have conversations? Right now is not the time to have conversations because Mercury's in retrograde, but making note of the conversation that you need to have. What are you not fully integrated, right? Like maybe what's been coming up that's not fully integrated, what you need to work through. Again, like this isn't a time to communicate those things, but it's a time to create awareness and to notice them. And then June 3rd, Jupiter moves into Leo. I've been looking forward to this for a while because as a Leo rising, this is now going to be moving through my first house. But this is really beautiful, right? Jupiter moving Leo. It's joining Venus and Leo. It's not going to conjunct Venus and Leo. But this is beginning, again, this is a year long. Jupiter moves through a sign for a year. So this is amplifying themes about generosity, the heart, being heart-led, having courage, being visible, right? Being yourself, being authentic. This is so much about authenticity. Again, this will expand on all these things. So it's going to be really beautiful. And that is June. Now, July, we've been talking about. July is going to be intense. June is a mixture. We have some really amazing transits and we have some challenging transits. I see June, you know, I mean, it's marked by Leo, by Cancer, by Venus, by Jupiter. These are like big themes here. So I really do feel like June is a great month to move on this energy, and it's really beautiful. July starts off with a bang, and it's going to be intense. We have Mars conjunct Uranus on July 4th. And so this is it's a big month. There's a lot happening in July. Again, it's potentially destabilizing. Uranus is always asking for freedom, right? So there's always that theme of like liberation in here. But you know, after June's kind of reflective, emotional, expansive month, July might be a little bit more challenging because the sun is in Cancer too. So we kind of want to still be in that cocoon, but there's a lot happening that's kind of going to be making us feel a little bit uncomfortable and having to step out of that energy. And you know, we're having a Mercury retrograde, we're having this Mars Jupiter conjunction, or sorry, Mars Uranus conjunction. All of the outer planets are being activated. This is where this mini triangle that we have between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus are going to be like tightly the tightest, right? And then they're going to start to loosen up. So it's going to be electric. It's going to be activating our nervous system. And so it's so important to regulate. I've been talking about that for the longest. Regulate, whatever that means for you, get into your practice. But I thank you so much for listening today. I would love to hear, this is a long one. I would love to hear what your takeaways were. I would love to hear how you're feeling. Anything, you can follow me on Instagram at Rochelle.Christiane. That's ROCHELLE.CHRISTIANE. It is the same everywhere. It's the same YouTube, TikTok, Substack, all the places you can find me, Rochelle.Christiane, or website is RochelleChristiane.com. You can book a session if you're wanting to understand and be better supported through these transits of how it specifically layers onto your chart. And yeah, we also have some exciting things coming. So make sure to follow. You can get on the email list down below. There should be a link. reach out to me again. Share this episode with a friend if you found it supportive, and I will talk to you soon.